Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Astatar Sutta Sri Shrimad. His Divine Grace Srila Bhai Charnaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Astatar Sutta Sri Shrimad. His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srila Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai. Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ki Jai. Shri Shri Rukmini Dwarkadish Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the Samud devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the Samud devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the Samud devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Shri Guru, Shri Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto, where are we today? We're Canto 3, Chapter 11. 26 and 27 I do myself, and 28 we do responsively. Esha Dainam Dina Sargo Brahmastrailokya Vartanaha Tiryandra Pitra Devanam Sambhavo Yatra Karma Bihi. Archita Prabhu, you want me to read the word for word or just a translation? Translation. In the creation, during Brahma's day, the three planetary systems, Svarga, Martya, and Patala, revolve, and the inhabitants, including the lower animals, human beings, demigods, and pitas, appear and disappear in terms of their fruitive activities. Text 27. Manvantareshu Bhagavan Bibrat Sattvam Swamurtibihi Mandavad idham Vishvam Avatyudita Purusha. In each and every change of Manu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears by manifesting his internal potency in different incarnations as Manu and others. Thus, he maintains the universe by discovered power. Text 28. Please repeat after me. Tamo matram upadaya Tamo matram upadaya Pratisamrudha vikramaha Pratisamrudha vikramaha Kalananugata shesha Kalinenanugata shesha Aste tushnim dinatyaye Aste tushnim dinatyaye Tamo matram upadaya Pratisamrudha vikramaha Kalinanugata shesha Aste tushnim dhyatyaye Tamo matram upadaya Pratisamrudha vikramaha Kalananugata shesha Aste tushnim dinatyaye. Please chant. Tamo matram upadaya Pratisamrudha vikramaha Kalananugata shesha Aste tushnim dinatyaye Tamo matram upadaya Pratisamrudha vikramaha Kalinanugata shesha Aste tushnim dinatyaye Tamo matram upadaya Pratisamrudha vikramaha Kalinanugata shesha Aste tushnim dinatyaye. Vaishnavis. Tamo matram upadaya Pratisamrudha vikramaha Kalinanugata shesha Asti tushnim dinatyaye Tamo matram upadaya Pratisamrudha vikramaha Kalinanugata shesha Aste tushnim dinatyaye. Tamaha, the mode of ignorance or the darkness of night. Matram, an insignificant portion only. Upadhaya, accepting. Pratisamruddha, vikramaha, suspending all power of manifestation. Kalena, by means of the eternal time. Kala, anugata, merged in. Asheshaha, innumerable living entities. Aste, remains. Tushnim, silent. Dina Atyaye, at the end of the day. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Abhay Charnaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. At the end of the day, under the insignificant portion of the mode of darkness, the powerful manifestation of the universe merges in the darkness of night. By the influence of eternal time, the innumerable living entities remain merged in that dissolution, and everything is silent. Purport. This verse is an explanation of the night of Brahma. Where is the effect of the influence of time in touch with an insignificant portion of the modes of material nature in darkness? The dissolution of the three worlds is affected by the incarnation of darkness, Rudra, represented by the fire of eternal time, which blazes over the three worlds. These three worlds are known as Bhu, Bhuvaha, and Svaha, Patala, Martya, and Svarga. The innumerable living entities merge into that dissolution, which appears to be the dropping of the curtain of the scene of the Supreme Lord's energy, and so everything becomes silent. Tamo matram upadaya pratisamrudha vikramaha kalenanugata shesha aste tushnim dinatyaye. Om jnanatamrandasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshur unmilitam jena tasmai shri gurve namaha. Shri Chaitanya manobishtam stapitam yena bhutale swayam rupa kadamhayam dadati svapadantikam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatadeshatarine Vancha kalpatrubhyascha Kripa sindubhya evacha Patitanam bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So it's my great honor and pleasure to be here on this very rainy day in New Dwarka. And I must express that when I came here, I was practically stunned by the beauty and the opulence of the deities here. Shri Shri Gaurnitai, Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev, Subhadra, and Shri Shri Rukmini Dwarkadish. They're simply looking magnificent. And I feel so grateful to be here in their presence and in the presence of all the wonderful devotees that are also here this morning. Thank you so much for coming and giving your wonderful association. Before I begin, I also seek the blessings of all the devotees that are here today, especially His Grace Swavas Prabhu, His Grace Archita Prabhu, and so many exalted Vaishnavas that are here. Please give me your blessings that I can speak for my own purification. Thank you. Do I have your blessings? Yes, thank you. Tatastu. Thank you, thank you. Jai Ho. So we're reading from chapter 11, and in this chapter is entitled Calculation of Time from the Atom. And this discussion of time is very detailed and rich and intricate. And it reminded me of one shloka from the very beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, 113. Nigamakkalpa turor galitam phalam Shukamukadamrita drava samyutam Pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam Mohora hora sika bhuvibhavukaha. O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of desire tree of the Vedic literatures. It emanated from the lotus lips of Srila Shukadev Goswami. Therefore this fruit has become even more tasteful. Although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls. So when we read Srimad Bhagavatam and discuss Srimad Bhagavatam, we're actually pibata Bhagavatam rasam alayam. We're drinking Srimad Bhagavatam. We're eating Srimad Bhagavatam. And I'm just wondering, would you like a few sprinkles of time, the time factor, kala, in your khichdi? Right? Because we're in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's so many flavors and rasas and mellows. And this rasa and mellow that we're relishing here in this section of Bhagavatam is discussion of time, kala, the time factor. So, very delicious time discussion is going on here because it's Srimad Bhagavatam. And everything in Srimad Bhagavatam is relishable for all. Those who are unliberated and those who are liberated. It's relishable for everyone. So time is a very important topic. I remember when I first joined the Hare Krishna movement, I was in Ireland in 1991, and I was living with 3 or 4 Sankirtan devotees that had just passed through. They were in an apartment, small flat, and then Trivikram Maharaj came and stayed with us. They said, tomorrow a Maharaj is coming. So I said, what's a Maharaj? And they said, you'll find out. So Trivikram Maharaj came, and he taught me and one of the other new bhaktas there, the person who owned the house, a student, he taught us Bhagavad Gita. And he said there are 5 main topics in Bhagavad Gita. There's Bhagavan, the Supreme. There's Jiva, the Atma, us. There's Karma. And there's Prakriti, the material nature. And then Kala, time. So that was when I first got introduced to this discussion of time, which is so deep and so intricate that we cannot even comprehend it. Some super great Mahatmas like our Acharyas, they can begin to comprehend it. But for us it's very deep, but it's very valuable. This human life is adruvam. It's temporary, it's not fixed. The Dhruva star is fixed, the North Star, it doesn't move. It's Dhruva. But this human life is adruvam, yet tad artadam, it has value. It has value because we can use this human form of life to atato brahma jigyasya, to understand the absolute truth. But our time in this body is very, very limited. So we should utilize our time with the utmost value, realizing, they say time is money. And time is Lakshmi, time is Krishna's energy, should be used very widely. Chanakya Pandit explains one moment of time that is lost cannot be purchased back for any amount of gold in the whole world. So we should be very, very careful. And this section of Bhagavatam speaks about the measurement of time. It's intricate, it's detailed, and almost inconceivable. But if we have the mercy of Guru and the Vaishnavas and Krishna, then anything is possible. We can perhaps begin to understand it. Yasyat prasadad bhagavat prasado yasyat prasadad nagatit kutopi. If the Guru is pleased, then Krishna is pleased. And if Krishna is pleased, then anything is possible. Srila Prabhupada said, the word impossible is a word in whose dictionary? The Fool's Dictionary. So nothing is impossible. Even this intricate subject matter, we could begin to understand. So this section begins in chapter 10, this discussion of time. Maitreya is speaking with Vidura. And in the 10th verse of the 10th chapter, Vidura inquires from Maitreya, O my Lord, O greatly learned sage, kindly describe eternal time, which is another form of the Supreme Lord, the wonderful actor. What are the symptoms of that eternal time? Please describe them to us in great detail. So then Maitreya Uvacha, he says, eternal time is the primeval source of the interactions of the three modes of material nature. It is unchangeable and limitless, and it works as the instrument of the Supreme Personality of Godhead for his pastimes here in the material creation. So you have like a scientist has a petri dish, which is like a culture, and in that petri dish is being mixed sattva gun, rajagun, tamagun, and then this time factor is also there, the culture, and this whole material creation is coming out. So in this chapter, chapter 11, it begins discussing the indivisible particle, the God particle, that this material body is a combination of atoms, and the Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, or Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities, which are seated as upon a machine made of the material nature. So we're all driving this machine, and it's made up of the material nature, and that is made up of atoms, which are made up of time. The atom is the minute, subtle form of eternal time, Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport. We hear about relationships between atoms and time. I was here a week ago. I had the good fortune to be here. We discussed how if a second is divided into 1,687.5 parts, then each part is the duration of a truti, which is the time occupied in the integration of 18 atomic particles. So quite intricate, detailed, minuscule, microscopic. But Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam, we can drink this information and relish this information and be purified by this information. Today's verses, which we discussed, speak about how even the Lord descends in this time factor in the material world. There's that famous verse from Bhagavad Gita, Yada yada hi dharmasya boliye Glanir bharati bharata abhyutanam dharmasya tadatmanam shrujam yaham Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chaduskritam dharma samstapanataya sambhavami yuge yuge. That whenever there is a decline in the religious principles of this world and a corresponding rise in irreligion, at that time I descend myself, paritranaya sadhunam, to give pleasure to the devotees, vinashaya chaduskritam, to kill the demons, dharma samstapanataya, to establish religious principles. I come myself, millennium after millennium. So millennium after millennium means within the sphere of time. Krishna descends in this material world out of his compassion. So in today's verse 27, it's mentioned, each and every change of Manu, the supreme personality of Godhead, appears by manifesting his internal potency in different incarnations as Manu and others. Thus he maintains the universe by discovered power. So the Lord is descending again and again. It's mentioned that there are more avatars than there are waves on the ocean. And this is all appearing within the framework of time. And we're very fortunate because we've appeared in this special time period of this Manu, in which we have received the opportunity to get the mercy of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he's descended, avatirno, that he's descended as an avatar. Krishna Varnam Tusha Krishnam Sango Pangastra Parshadam Yagnai Sankirtana Prayer Yajanti Hi Sumeda Saha. That he's descended at this very specific time in order for us to get the mercy and participate in the Sankirtan movement, this chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. He's come to give what has not been given in a very, very long time. And that is love for Krishna. That is the Madhurya Rasa. This is being offered to us. And it's like a sale going on. It's a 10,000 year sale. It's a 10,000 year golden age. So you go to the shop, you buy something nice, it's on sale, you tell your friends. So we have the good opportunity. We've been to the shop. We're in the process of purchasing. And we can offer and invite our friends, everyone we meet, all those living entities that we come in contact. Yari Dako Tari Kaho Krishna Upadesh Amara Agnya Guru Hoy Tara Edesh. That it is our responsibility now, having received this message from Srila Prabhupada and his followers, to distribute the knowledge of this great opportunity, sharing the good news. Prativitayachayatanagaradi gram sarva tripachar hoibe moranam, and to hope and be an instrument in the spreading of the holy names to every town and every village all over the world, the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Back to today's topic. At the end of the day, text 28, today's verse, under the insignificant portion of the mode of darkness, the powerful manifestation of the universe merges in the darkness of night. By the influence of eternal time, the innumerable living entities remain merged in that dissolution, and everything is silent. Now, when I took my Bhakti Vaibhav course in Mayapur, I heard an incredible class by one of the devotees there in the Mayapur Institute, and he shared an incredible concept with me that I'd like to share with you now. Are you ready? Yes. Okay, so in this dissolution, all the living entities in the material creation are put into suspension. Correct? That's what we're hearing today. So where do they go? What happens to them? And even more important is, how does the universal administration keep track of them? Right? How many devotees do we have in the community here, Swava's Prabhu? Approximately. Yeah. A couple hundred, right? Very good. And you do your best to keep track of them, right? Yeah? May Krishna empower you with full Shakti and capacity to serve the community. It's tough service. So I can say that because I'm sitting on Vyasa-san, okay. Otherwise I wouldn't dare to offer benedictions to my seniors. Jai. So, how many living entities are there in the cosmic creation? It's unlimited, totally unlimited. So somehow the cosmic administrators have to keep track of each and every one of them. It has to keep track what is their karma bank account, what were they in their previous lives in a physical manifestation, what kind of bodies they had, what kind of body is coming up next. And they have to prepare the whole thing for all of these living entities. And it happens every time there's a night of Lord Brahma. Okay, dissolution is coming. Wind down the curtain. Okay, open the cubby holes. So there's so many little cubby holes that each and every Atma is going to go inside. Unlimited cubby holes. And okay, keep the file on each one of them. You know, the other day I was looking at a video. It was showing that if you have cables in a studio, I'm into studio engineering, you have so many cables, how to keep track of them. So you have to put a label on them. So I saw a label maker. It looks good. So it puts like one label. So each one of those unlimited cubby holes with each living entity, unlimited living entities, has to have a very, very intricate and detailed label put on each one. Like, scan, like one of those, scan the label so you can understand who is who. Because they're unlimited living entities, and the cosmic creators and the cosmic managers have to keep track and facilitate each one of those unlimited living entities, dissolution after dissolution after dissolution. And it's all within the time factor. So it just gives an appreciation for the service of those personalities who are doing that service to keep track of everyone. I said, okay, this one, okay, the cosmic dissolution is getting over. Approximately 411 billion years have gone. It's starting to open up again. Get the bodies ready. Get everyone ready. Where does this one go? He goes there. Where does that one go? She goes there. Where does this one go? He goes there. And in this way, tremendous management is going on within the material creation. And it's all going on underneath the scenes. We don't see it. It's completely amazing. So just to wind up and conclude today, I'd like to share one shloka from Lord Rishabhdeva's teachings, in which he's explaining that we actually don't want to be part of this material time factor, because it means a journey in the material universe which involves birth, death, disease, and old age again and again. As it's said in Gita, just before I get to this verse, Abrahma bhuvana loka punar arvartino juna mamupecha tu konteya punar janma na vidyate. In the first verse we discussed today, or we read today, is mentioned that during Brahma's day, the three planetary systems, Svarga, Martya, and Patala, they revolve, and the inhabitants, including the lower animals, human beings, demigods, and pitas, they appear and disappear in terms of their fruitive activities. So from the Svarga, Martya, Svarga is the higher planetary systems, Martya is the middle planetary systems, and Patala is the lower planetary system. So all are places of repeated birth and death. But when one worships Krishna, mamupetya tu konteya punar janma na vidyate. One does not take punar, again, janma, birth, not vidyate, does happen. It doesn't happen. So we want to stop the cycle of birth and death. And Rishabdev tells us how to do that. Nayam deho deho brajam riloke kastan kam an arhati vidbujam ye tapodivyam putra kayena satvam shudyad yasmat brahma sokyam tvanantam. Says, my dear boys, of all the living entities who have accepted material bodies in this world, one who has been awarded this human form should not work hard day and night simply for sense gratification, which is available even for the dogs and the hogs that eat stool. One should engage in penance and austerity, tapo divyam putra kayena sattvam, to attain the divine position of devotional service. By such activity, one's heart is purified, and when one attains this position, he attains eternal, blissful life, which is transcendental to material happiness, and which continues forever. So I'm going to stop here, and I'll ask if there are any comments or questions. Yes, Prabhu. 1, 2, okay, go ahead.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
So
Krishna.
this verse was talking today about the different manus, and so I had a question. We read in Chaitanya Charitamrita how Vallabha Bhatta actually said that he had a commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam that was even better than Sridhar Swami's. Remember that?
Yes.
And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chastised him for that. And he said, whoever thinks like that, or whoever does not accept the commentary of Sridhar Swami is considered a prostitute.
Yeah, whoever does not accept the Swami is considered a prostitute. Swami is another name for husband also. Yeah.
So I have one question regarding that. We go to Canto 1, Chapter 3, Text 15.
Okay, can I open that up so I can see what
Yes.
you're talking about? Chapter?
Canto 1, Chapter 3, Text 15.
1, 3, 15. Okay, I'm seeing it. Go ahead, please.
So it's talking about when Chakshusha, after Chakshusha Manu period, the world was deep within water, and the Lord accepted the form of a fish and protected Vaivasvata Manu, keeping him up on a boat. So if we go to the purport, just that first paragraph, according to Sripad Sridhar Swami, the original commentator on the Bhagavatam, there is not always a devastation after the change of every Manu. And yet this inundation after the period of Chakshusha Manu took place in order to show some wonders to Satyavrata. But Sri Jiva Goswami has given definite proofs from authoritative scriptures like Vishnu, Dharmottara, Markandeya Purana, Harivamsha, etc., that there is always a devastation after the end of each and every Manu. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti has also supported Srila Jiva Goswami, and he, Sri Chakravarti, has also quoted from the Bhagavatamrita about this inundation after each Manu. Apart from this, the Lord, in order to show special favor to Satyavrata, a devotee of the Lord, in this particular period incarnated himself. So it seems like Jiva Goswami and Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, who have obviously came after Sridhar Swami, are disagreeing with him. How is it that in our parampara system, we learn that we are supposed to, we learn our knowledge, we get our understanding of transcendental knowledge and realization from our predecessor acharyas, our spiritual master. So if that is the philosophy, if that's the system of receiving knowledge, how is it that somewhere along the parampara, a disciple can disagree with a spiritual subject of his spiritual master.
Thank you for your question. If I understand your question properly, you're asking is that how has Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur disagreed with a statement made by Sridhar Swami? Is that correct?
Yes, after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's statement to Vallabha, and also just in general, how does that happen in the line of parampara? Because we're supposed to learn from our guru and you just repeat, right? Yes. So how is it that you, somewhere along the line of parampara, there was a change?
So your question is that how is there a change in a statement made by a previous predecessor acharya by a more contemporary acharya? Yes? I need a yes. Yeah,
yes,
you're saying yes.
More or less.
Yeah, more or less. Wait, I want a yes or a no. I don't want a more or less.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, for example, let's say, for example, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur says something.
Yes.
Okay. And then Gaur Kishore Das Babaji says the same exact thing. And then
okay, you're saying Bhaktivinoda Thakur.
This is just an example. This is just an example. Okay. And then Bhaktisiddhanta hears from Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, he repeats the same thing. And Srila Prabhupada hears from his guru, repeats the same thing. And then my spiritual master repeats the same thing as Prabhupada. And then I'm supposed to hear from my guru if he's via medium of Srila Prabhupada. And then I repeat the same thing. How is it that somewhere along the system a disciple disagreed with his guru and said some other statement, and so now that statement is somehow valid? Or how does that happen?
It depends on the individual. We're a personalist movement. We're all personalists. And we're all at different levels of advancement. And we all have different positions in the spiritual world. For example, you are not Srila Jiva Goswami. So if Jiva Goswami disagrees with Sridhar Swami, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also supports that, then he has quite a unique position, Jiva Goswami. He's one of the greatest of our predecessor acharyas. So we can say every rule has an exception. There may be an occasional exception to rules, but that's according to extremely exalted personalities. And see, for the example of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed him after the Rath Yatra festival, go back to West Bengal and preach. Do not come back to Puri next year for the Rath Yatra. You should remain and preach there. And Nityananda Prabhu, he disregarded that instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He returned to Puri, and actually Mahaprabhu was pleased there. So in this way, we see that sometimes the order or the instruction of even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is overturned by a particular personality. But that's a very, very special personality. We should not imitate that. So because Jiva Goswami has been able to, and is accepted by Prabhupada doesn't have any issue with it here in the purport. Prabhupada doesn't have any issue with it, that he overturned the statement of Sridhar Swami. So Prabhupada doesn't have any issue. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur supports. And these are could be considered Nitya Siddha, parishads of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Like Jiva Goswami, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, most likely they did not come here to the material world the same reason you and I came here. They came here as karuna, as the mercy of the Supreme Lord in order to facilitate the saving of the conditioned souls, as a ray of Vishnu, so to speak. So these personalities are on a different level than normal jivas like us. Then another concept to keep in mind is unity and diversity. Is that Sridhar Swami is given a particular commentary, and maybe, I shouldn't use the word maybe on the Vyasa-san, please forgive me. But I can say we should have respect for Sridhar Swami, even though Jiva Goswami has overturned that statement in this particular case. And we can also mention that whether the question here is there always a devastation after the change of every Manu or not? Right? That's the question that's being discussed in contention. But for the essence of bhakti, whether yes or no, it's not a critical issue. The important thing is bhakti. Shravanam, kirtanam, Vishnu smaranam, padasevanam, archanam, vandanam, dasyam, sakyam, atmanivedanam. To chant and glorify the Lord and the Lord's devotees. And whether, according to the time factor, there's a devastation, drop the curtain. No, not this time. Not this Manu. Drop it next time. Okay, keep the shop open. Whether there's not a devastation or not, it's not a critical issue. Is that of some help in addressing the issue? Yes, okay, very good. Thank you so much. Anyone else would like to add anything further in this regard? Okay. No, okay. Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Maharaj. Just a comment in that regard that you explained properly, very nice.
Thank you.
I was just thinking that these issues can be very complex and complicated for a neophyte, young devotees, and we have to be carefully handle it because we went through a history in our Gaudiya Math, and ourselves we get caught up, and sometimes devotees, out of love for the spiritual master, try to defend a position, but at the same time they didn't have the adequate or the etiquette to properly handle the situation, create a big disturbance for both camps within the family of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is the originator. So then some distances were there. We cannot blame sometimes not either them or us. It's just the ethical and proper way to handle this there, to be respectful to each other. And like you were saying, unity in diversity, which has been very difficult to apply sometimes because the three modes of material nature influence there. And then at the same time, it might be very difficult for us to try to reach that understand. Why did they make that apparently disagreement among themselves? It's very hard to understand sometimes, but at the same time, we have our guru, our ISKCON founder Acharya, we respectfully, faithfully follow. If we cannot understand, then we pray to the Lord that please let me not commit an offense in trying to make a judgment of certain issues sometimes. So that's just a comment.
Thank you. Yes, diversity may be there, but we should always maintain etiquette and respect. Very important. Thank you. Can you please hand the microphone? This is the last question.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Maharaj. I've got a question. So I really appreciate the explanation of the cubic holes and the universe.
It's far out.
So what happens if there's an error?
What happens if there's an error?
Yeah, a mistake.
Well, to err is human. I mean, we're here in this world. It happens. Things happen. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, wherever there is fire, there is smoke. So when we're trying to do service, it's like we're trying to make the fire. We're building the fire, whether we're distributing books or raising our children or whether we're cleaning the kitchen or cooking or whatever service we're doing, that's like making the fire. But wherever there's fire, there's going to be some smoke. And that smoke is compared to like the mistake. So yes, you're raising a valid point. There may be, someone may put the wrong label on the wrong cubby hole and, but gradually we sort things out as best we can. If the boat goes a little bit off course, just try to bring it back on course. Right, like that.
Jai, thank you.
Yes, there'll always be some mistakes here in the material world. That's why it's important that we prepare for the final moment of death by constantly chanting the holy names. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, so if there's nothing else, I'd like to express my gratitude for all the devotees for coming this morning for Srimad Bhagavatam class. Thank you for having me. Thank you for kind attention. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bo. Hare Krishna.